I'm Scott, and this is Figureplay. Hey guys, welcome to Figureplay. Great to have you here with me. This is the first Figureplay video. I hope you'll enjoy it. I hope you'll enjoy the overview of Shoshuu by Wings. I am an illustrator, a painter, an artist, an art instructor, and I really do approach figure collecting from that kind of perspective. If you enjoy the content, please consider liking, subscribing, and also hitting the notifications icon. With all that being said, let's jump straight into looking at Shoshuu by Wings. One of the first main things that stands out about this particular piece is the silhouette of the character. It's a simple pose, but the silhouette is extremely strong. From the ellipse that we have behind the character's head, to the swords in the background creating a strong diagonal to the pose, to the secondary actions we see of the wind affecting ribbons on the arms, the sleeves blowing in the wind, the beads on the sword moving in the direction, on the swords moving in the direction of the wind as well, and being affected by that. It's a very, very strong silhouette and a strong pose, even though it's quite simple. And I guess that's a testament that you can have exceptionally good figures, even with somewhat simple posing. Now, though the overall pose is simple, it has a lot of nuances and complexities to it as well. The bending of the wrists, the positioning of the hands, and other small details that add to the impact of kind of the key line of action, that she has this very confident pose, especially if you're looking at her from the side. You know, she's pushing her chest out, she's very confident, and she gives an attitude of confidence in how she's posed. Now, something else I want to touch on that I think is another big strong point of this figure is the color usage. Apart from the saturated reds and arguably some of the golds, and also the saturation in the eyes, that sort of turquoisey blue in the eyes. Really, we're looking at a figure that is largely made up of desaturated colors in its color palette. We have these cool grays everywhere, some sort of blacks here and there, the desaturated browns and beiges, and we also have such a nice balance of the color proportions. Our dominant color being grays, and then our sort of secondary dominant color being reds, and then tertiary color would be probably the golds. We do have the white in there as well, which is also a great contrast. It's also more of an accent though, based on its proportions of the overall piece. And then, you know, we have the little extra touches of color in the hair and the eyes to contrast all of the existing colors. So I think that the overall balance of color and the use of color and the proportions of the colors are very well done as well. But really just an excellent use of color. Subtlety, but yet also using the idea of saturation to draw the eye to the figure's face, which is the focal point of the piece. The last thing I would say is the theming. Japanese samurai theming, warrior theming is generally considered to be pretty cool. And this character embodies that type of theming, albeit in a not at all realistic, but certainly very appealing, physically appealing, you know, way, where we have a dramatization of samurai tropes in a sense. We have the really large hat that she's wearing. We've got the really long swords that she's got. And, you know, there's little elements, cultural elements, such as the beading on the swords. And there's been a lot of thought put into the theming of the piece and trying to keep everything kind of consistent. We have these organic shapes and almost flower-like patterns on the clothing and on other elements. And really, I think they've created a piece that I think many consider to be a holy grail figure, probably because there's so much balance in these three major categories, right? We have this amazing posing and silhouette, so simple yet balanced. We have these amazing colors, and then the theming is also quite balanced, you know, albeit for a Bishoujo figure. And for those that don't know, Bishoujo means pretty girl, so, you know, kind of one of the core facets or elements of a Bishoujo figure is that you're going to typically have an idealistically proportioned female character, and she's going to have a bit of sex appeal to her to one degree or another. So in light of that, and looking at those sort of three elements that I've discussed, those three big sort of categories, I think this figure really succeeds on that level, and even adds in small elements of modernity, particularly the clips on the belt, the white belt, and also around the sleeves, those little silver clips. And then additionally, we also have very modern sort of boots / shoe design. You know, they're stilettos, yet they're boots as well. And there's sort of a mashup of genres, historical genres of fashion there as well. So I think those are the three biggest standouts of this particular figure. All right, let's hit the strengths and weaknesses of this figure. From the strength side, I think that this figure has a very strong silhouette, a very strong initial read. The color scheme is exceptionally strong and well done. And the character concept is just really well implemented. A dramatized Bishoujo samurai styled with hints of sort of modernity in the fashion. It really checks the boxes for a great figure. Onto the weaknesses of the figure. I do think that there could have been a lot more effort applied to the personality of the character or the emotions of the character. She does seem to have a confident pose and be a confident character, but there could have been more expression in the mouth and in the eyes to just amp up that expressiveness a little bit. I also do think that the base, while a decent base and certainly not the most boring base we've ever seen, you know, you get very plain bases. I think the base with its gold emblem on it could have had, you know, just a little bit of extra plussing, as Walt Disney might say, just a little bit of enhancement, whether it was a color or gradient enhancement or additional details added to the base, just to create a little bit of extra noise. My conclusion is fairly straightforward. The Shoshuu figure 1/7 scale from Wings is really an exceptionally made Bishoujo figure. If you like the styling, you like the theming, you're into Bishoujo figures, this is definitely a must-have for any collection. Thanks so much for watching the video. Please like and subscribe if you haven't already, and I'll catch you guys in the next video.